Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Heat Press for Profit podcast. We are broadcasting live here on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and more. If you are watching us live, make sure you shout out who you are and where you are watching from. We'd love to see those comments in. We keep these podcasts very conversational. So if you guys have any comments or questions, chat those in and we'll be checking those out. If you are listening anywhere where you listen to podcasts, that's great. Make sure you subscribe to the show where we launch a new episode every week. So every Friday at noon Eastern, we are putting up a new podcast. And I would encourage you to also head over to Facebook, join our Heat Press for Profit community, where we interact with our guests and lots of your peers who also own heat printing businesses. I want to take this opportunity to now introduce to you the gentleman on the screen. This is Steven. And Steven, we are so excited to have you join us and just kind of talk about your journey from creating viral t-shirt designs to partnering with big names like Mark Cuban, which is super incredible and what a lot of people know about Campus Inc. We really are excited to dive into your story, talk about the NIL space a little bit, and just see where you see the future of sports merchandising heading. Thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah, Steven's story is full of hustle, creativity, innovation. And if you're curious about the future of sports merchandising, or you just love a good entrepreneurial success story, you won't want to miss this one. So I see we have some people joining us live. Again, guys, as you are joining, feel free to share where you are joining from. We always love to see who is from anywhere all over the world. Again, we are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So guys, get those comments in and we can go ahead and start into the first segment here, Steven. And I really just want to talk about the beginnings of Campus Inc. for those that aren't that familiar with your story. So how did Campus Inc. get started? And let's talk a little bit too about some of the challenges that you guys faced in the early days.
Sweet. So I didn't start a printing business. I bought into one. So I sold merch in college. I had a couple designs go viral. There was a small little print shop on my campus. And the day I graduated, they let me buy into their business. So the business at the time was called Campus Sportswear, multi-generation family company that was started like in the 50s and 40s. And so we changed the name to Campus Inc. And that's how that started. So that was in about 2015. So I've been at it for now 10 years. My whole thesis when we started Campus Inc., or we kind of re-originated it, was I wanted to recreate my college experience for other students. So I sold t-shirts to fraternities and sororities. So that's what I started doing and teaching students all about merch. That program has since flourished. We have over 300 students on roughly 100 campuses, all learning design and sales. So some of our best students do like over $100,000 a year in sales. It's awesome. But they all have Adobe Illustrator. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They're little hustlers too. And they all have Adobe Illustrator, and we really teach them everything about the business. And so we always say that, above everything, Campus Inc. is rooted in education. Whether we're working with athletes or students, our through line is that we're there to teach students. So yeah, that's a little bit about how it got started.
I think that's great. And I love that it kind of came from that mentality. And then you just kind of found people that were going to work around that same mentality, right? I think that is great in team building. Did you face any challenges with that whenever you were trying to build that team out?
Yeah, I went into business with two people that were twice my age, right? So imagine owning a company with your dad that you're not related to, and you're this kid out of college that's this punk ass. So we had a lot of growing pains because I had to build trust with them. They had to build trust with me. But once they started, there was a book I read early on. It was called The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And it basically was talking a lot about optimizing your time by having people around you to do simple things, right? And so before I was able to really hire a lot of leaders, I really started to use a lot of virtual assistants, or just different organizations that could help me, try to be a crazy multitasker. And that's really like the basics of it. Once we sold enough apparel, like my business partners finally let me hire someone at the front desk. They said we have to do $1 million in sales before you can hire someone at the front desk. And since then, today we're 75 employees in the US, about 25 offshore. And we started with just 3 of us. So that was just in a matter of 10 years.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you were kind of trying to do everything at once, right? And so I think that speaks directly to trying to be the person that wears all the hats. And so whether that's design, production, marketing, fulfillment, I think a lot of listeners can even resonate to this because when we are starting out, whether it is buying into a company and growing from there or starting from scratch, a lot of us are wearing a lot of those hats, and it's hard to kind of delegate those tasks to the right people. But I think that kind of talks to what we were chatting about the other day. So Stephen and I were talking a little bit about this book, The Focus Project. And this is something I picked up because focus is something that I struggle with day to day. But I think that that's just kind of across the masses in any day-to-day task or any industry, really. So the Focus Project, what Steve and I were kind of like reviewing is just prioritizing what truly matters, eliminate distractions, and just make every action count. And I feel like this is something that Campus Inc. applies very well when it comes to all the different things going on and how you just kind of remain focused on your key niches and markets that you want to serve.
Yeah. So like, I think when you're early on in business, right? Maybe you've got one employee, you're just trying to be like the superhero everywhere and you're wearing all of these different hats. And what ends up happening is you burn yourself out along the way. You stretch yourself thin. Everyone thinks you're crazy. You think you're saving the world. And you feel like you have to do it all just because you own it. Right. And that's, I think, why a lot of small businesses struggle is that they struggle to actually let go and trust other people and delegate. And, when my business really started to explode and, the company will do over, close to $20 million this year. It was when I finally like let go and said, I'm not going to try and do this all. I have to trust other people to do it.
I
And
feel like
so, yeah, go ahead.
delegation is like one of the hardest skills to master when you're so used to just being on top of everything yourself.
Right. And so, they say like you can only do 1 or 2 things really well consistently. Right. And so, you have to figure out what those 1 or 2 things are, and you have to trust other people to do it. So if you're an incredible heat presser, but you're not good at art, outsource your art. Right. If you're not, if you think you want to bring in a DTF machine, today there are 3 machines down at Campus Inc. Don't buy a DTF machine, order transfers so you can focus on being a heat presser, right? And so I wish someone told me
We
this
need to get
early
you on here more.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just to talk about the failure of DTF for today.
I mean, here's the thing. We have, at any given point, we have 5 machines running at any given point in time, and we are ordering thousands of dollars of transfers per day. So you have to be, it's not like I want to go buy more equipment. No, I'm going to like leverage what I've got and utilize like everyone's strengths a little bit. Right. So, yeah, I think it's definitely something I wish I learned a little earlier for sure.
Yeah, you said something really important there. And I think it's something that a lot of business owners struggle with, and it's being able to trust other people, whether that be delegation or even outsourcing. But knowing how to form those relationships so that you can get to that level of trust so that you can scale smarter, right? So like you said, it's find what you do well and then delegate or outsource the things that you might not really know how to, or even allot the time to learn those things, right? And really like manage that skill. So how do you feel like partnerships and delegation really helped shape the trajectory of Campus Inc? Did it allow you to scale smarter? Were there some hiccups to start? Like, what was that differentiator? When was that aha moment?
Yeah, so I'll kind of tell the story. This is probably like when NIL came about. So for those that don't know, in 2021, college athletes were all of a sudden a court case allowed them to start making money. And that was a crazy law that got repealed. And all of a sudden, you have hundreds of thousands of college athletes that can start making money. Well, what's one of the easiest ways for them to make money is by selling merchandise. So I built a really quick platform for athletes at the University of Illinois. There were 13 guys. We had licensing at Illinois. I was ordering transfers in for all of their jerseys and T-shirts, and we made them like $100,000 in one season. And so we're like, okay, we have something here. And then along came Mark Cuban. We got an investment from him. And once you take a billionaire's money, you really have to step on the gas. And so we had to quickly create a strategy to take our little platform to hundreds of schools across the country. And we had to make sure we were first because it was a little bit of a gold rush. And so in a matter of, I want to say a year and a half, we went from 20 employees to like 55 or 60. And that's where I got to hire, a CTO, right? I got to hire a VP of sales to just go outbound, an expert in the NIL space, a VP of marketing. And that's when I realized that, to run a successful company, you have to hire people smarter than you, and then they tell you what to do. Right. And once I did that, like they're way smarter than anything I could pull off. I'm just one piece of the puzzle. And so, right, like you trust them with your baby and they're going to take it, own it, and hopefully crush it. Right. And so that's probably why a lot of our success has been rooted out of like our team.
Yeah. So I have a lot coming off of just that. Right. So for those of you that are familiar with Shark Tank, I would definitely want to promote that a little bit here. I think that people should go and check that out to really like fully grasp your story and how everything kind of.
I was not on Shark Tank.
You weren't?
No.
Okay. Everyone thinks that you were, including myself.
No. I just emailed Mark Cuban and he responded.
You emailed him. All right. So no Shark Tank, Campus Inc., no representation on Shark Tank. You emailed Mark Cuban. And so how did you get through? I feel like that is not an easy task to get through to Mark Cuban.
I sent him a cold email and he responded. And then I asked him for some money and he said yes.
Really? That's it.
24 hours. Yeah, it was, we went back and forth on a couple of different things. And, I just put myself out there and I sent the, best cold email of my life and I got lucky. So yeah, he wrote us a check and he owns a piece of our business.
And you feel like that was like that critical like moment and turning point for the company to really like step on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, the company, probably when he invested, the company was probably doing $4 or $5 million. Like it was growing, things were good. But when you take an investment again from someone like that, they want to see a return on their investment. So they expect you to go fast. And so the coolest part about working with Mark is, he will just open up doors for us. And so if I don't get my way, I'll just be a brat and CC him. I just did it yesterday and he responded and I'll just like shoot him an email on the backside and say, hey, I need you to respond to this. So nice. It doesn't suck. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It sounds like it. And you mentioned hiring people smarter than you.
Yeah.
I think that is brilliant. And I think that should be an incredible takeaway for anyone listening. But how did that influence an adjustment in like maybe your leadership style?
Well, I think when you're running a smaller print shop, you are usually the smartest person in the room. You know how to do everything and you're probably hiring hourly employees and you're probably telling them what to do or you're micromanaging them. And so when you have the ability to start to make your first couple professional hires, hiring people with different skill sets that come from different backgrounds that have different areas of expertise just make like the melting pot of your business that much better, right? And so spending a lot of time in like the interview process, making sure we hire really, really good people, making sure that they're committed to the business as well. And then like figuring out how to work as a team, like every single day. We have leadership coaches we work through, we have book clubs, like we as a team are trying to learn how to row together really, really well. So yeah.
That's great. And it's important too, whenever you are working on building out a team, that you are hiring people that are totally on board with the vision and mission of where that company is heading. So everybody can get on board and support it. Sometimes that can be hard to find, but whenever it really takes the right person to really gather those people and inspire them to be where your head's at with it, right?
Yeah.
And empowering.
And I think for those that are listening that have smaller shops, maybe they only have 1, 2, 3 employees, like you want to focus on their well-being, their education, like take them to trade shows, right? Bring
Mhm.
them to events so that they can be a part of it. Because if you treat them like they're making, an hourly rate and you just expect them to just come in and work, like they're not going to last. So the coolest part about Campus Inc. is, almost a third of our company started here when they were like 18 or 19 years old. Right. And so we really, really, really spend a lot of time like grooming our team and just like teaching them and, getting people to teach them and other people to teach them and things like that. So it's really, really important to me.
Yeah. And I will say, like I said, team is everything. And I have met a few members of your team, and they have all been incredible and like super eager to learn. Anytime I've seen them at a trade show or even just had one-on-one meetings, it's really just awesome to see how excited they are about everything. And
Yeah.
so now that we're kind of leaving this segment, so that we can move on to the next piece, I just want to kind of reiterate to our listeners that growth happens whenever you can get comfortable with trusting and delegating. And sometimes that can be a difficult move, but hiring smarter and hiring people that are just as inspired, or someone that's an expert that you're not in, that's what's really going to help propel your brand, your vision, whatever it might be, forward. And so, on that note, there are a lot of other ways, if you aren't looking to expand in team, and that is through partnerships, trusting other industry leaders. And I know that's something that you guys have done very well. I've heard you speak at a lot of different industry events, and you're very close with other industry leaders. Can you talk a little bit about some of those partnerships and how you feel like those helped you guys grow faster and smarter?
Yeah. So I think the myth is that you have to buy every piece of equipment and do everything in-house yourself. And if you don't, like, you're like, oh, there's no one else that does it as good as us. That's BS. There are such better printers out there than you. I'm sorry, right? And likewise, we're not the best printers. We have amazing friends in the industry that are great printers. And so, our company only sits on a 14,000 square foot facility. That's it.
Only.
And I mean, if you were to look at some bigger facilities, like we should be in something. If we owned all of our own equipment, it could be in a 50 or 100,000 square foot
Yeah,
place. And what I'm
absolutely.
getting at, Jenna, is that we like outsource quite a bit and we don't try to do everything in house by any means. Right. And so we have artists in Honduras, right, that are helping us with our artwork. We're ordering transfers every single day, even though we're printing some of ours in house. Right. We're sending jobs out to other printers so that they can print for us, so that our machines aren't completely backed up, right? We're using websites like Printful, right? And we're leveraging that network to do print on demand in some different capacity, right? And when you realize like, hey, I'm not going to try to do it all, it actually becomes so much easier. You can sleep at night, knowing
I
that
think
it's
too,
not
it
all on you.
allows you as a company to focus on your core strengths.
Right, right. And we are a sales and marketing company. I'll just say it what it is. And so we try to print as little as we can. Granted, we still print almost 75% of our stuff. It's definitely been eye opening to like really focus on not having to do everything in house.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about the NIL space. You and I were kind of chatting a little bit before that. I want to dive into that, but also talk about how partnerships have kind of helped drive that innovation, especially in the NIL space because it's so fast changing and fast paced.
Yeah. So, where do we start? So all of a sudden we started going to these schools and the schools are saying, yes, we're going to license you. You're going to be able to be the Ohio State Ohio State NIL store, Indiana NIL store. And I had no idea what I was doing. Because now you go to a school, we'll just take Indiana. That was our first school outside of Illinois. They gave us 200 athletes and they all needed 7 or 8 custom pieces online with custom names and numbers, right? And so when you start to think about the amount of artwork that's created, we were essentially creating every PNG that was like print ready for every player. And so there's, at a given school, there could be 20,000 SKUs or like 3,000 unique art files at any given point in time. So like this turned into a cluster really, really quickly. And we had to do a lot of organization and tooling to figure out how to actually manage it because we can't pre-print transfers for every player. We can't like order 24 for every player. We had to figure out exactly like what was the smartest way to do it. That's why we print some in house and we order some in bulk. But what was really, really important was, working like directly with the schools and spending a lot of time like educating them, teaching them about the merchandise industry, talking to their licensing directors so they understood exactly what was going to be happening because this has never been done before. If you take every professional athlete in pro sports, that's like 8,000 or 9,000 athletes. We're already at 15, 16,000 athletes and there's 150 to 200,000. So it's an insane amount of artwork and how it all has to run. And if it weren't for the schools helping us, industry leaders, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah. And so you have helped this space by implementing an additional kind of like
our blanks program.
Is it considered a program?
It is considered a program.
Okay.
So some of our customers we sell online. Other customers of ours are like campus bookstores. So like Dick's Sporting Good or Follett. They want to buy NIL merchandise in bulk, right? But what happens when they buy 48 shirts in bulk and we ship it to them and the player transfers the next week? Because this happens in college, right? Players transfer every week. It's awful. They would get stuck with that inventory. So instead, what I said is, you know what? We're going to give you the heat press. We're going to give you a kiosk. We're going to give you the transfers and the blank shirts, and we're going to let you customize it in your stores. And so we built this system where you can go in, people can order on a kiosk. We teach their staff exactly how to heat press. And then when a transfer gets sold, we just ship them a new one. So we're just sending them supplies and teaching them how to basically do what we do in our store. And we launched that at now 10 schools. So yeah, that's been fun too.
Are they seeing some success with it?
A ton. And we built it in such a way where like we can see how well they're doing and then we can help them market it because that's what we enjoy doing. So yeah. I mean, Jenna, this is interesting. Do you have customers that sell transfers like as kits to other decorators, like, or like hobbyists?
And I'm not sure if it's kits, but absolutely with the rise of direct to film printing and the innovation in that space, like we do see our customers selling transfers.
That's pretty cool. That's just like all that's doing is bringing like the supply chain closer to the customer. And I think there's a huge market there. So that's cool.
There is. Yeah. We have a lot of close customers that are doing it and they're seeing success with it. And it's just kind of, and I think this is one of my favorite things about the industry is that everybody's supporting everybody in some way. So even though our customers are doing that, we're still supporting them for their other like production needs, right? So it's just cool to see how the industry is expanding, but we weren't kind of expecting to expand in this way. But it's all give and take, right? So everyone's moving forward in a positive way, and everybody's supporting each other. And that's one thing that I have always said I loved about this industry is everyone is leaning on somebody and trusting each other to make everybody better and successful in this space.
Yeah, I think, we all talk a lot of shit and we have a lot of fun and it's competitive and all that good stuff. But like truthfully, we all help each other out. We buy from each other. Like we're going deep on these, all the NIL store rebrand just got the PVC heat applied patches that y'all made for us.
Mhm.
Right. And so what you'll see is like, and this is just cool about stalls, is you might start with stalls. My business partner was buying, weeding vinyl 20, 30 years ago, and now he's on
Mhm.
there designing patches, right? And so like
Right.
everyone's kind of evolving in this heat applied world, and it's pretty cool to see. So kudos to you all as well.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I think that's it plays into all the trends that we see in retail as well. Like, not only do we have to keep up with where things are trending from an industry standpoint, but what our customers or your NIL guys are looking for their merch, they're pulling from retail that they buy from brands that they love, right? So it is a lot to keep up with, but it's been fun. But honestly, like all of that to say, that's why strategic partnerships and just being able to trust people that you're outsourcing with. Guys, you don't have to start from scratch. There are a lot of resources that are going to expand your reach. So utilize those. If you guys are doing direct to film printing in house, that's okay. We can still be a solution, or someone else can be another solution so that you can expand your reach. And it's just really knowing what's going to be the best fit and knowing you can lean on others for that. So as we're coming to a close here, there's a couple more things I want to talk about. And I feel like a lot of people could learn a lot from you and stuff that you've implemented at Campus Inc. or even just notes from your story, right? But I want to give you some time to maybe talk about advice that you would like to give some apparel decorators that are looking to kind of embrace that whole less with more philosophy that we were talking about at the beginning of the pod.
I think probably the biggest thing that you should do as an entrepreneur is to learn how to ask for help and maybe swallow your pride and your ego just a little bit. Because when you become a little bit vulnerable and you start asking and becoming like a student, that's when you can really, really start to learn, right? And so I think we all want to be superheroes. We all went into business to prove something to someone, right? But once you're in there, just understand that, every single day you're learning or you're changing something, or, just because it was that way yesterday does not mean it has to be that way tomorrow, right? And so if you're stuck in your ways, this industry can also pass you up really quickly. And so as the industry is moving away from screen printing and more towards digital, right? And more towards heat applied, don't let that pass you up, right? Embrace it, be curious about it, try some different things out. What's really, really cool is once you understand the power of some of these new tools, you can use it in crazy ways, right? And so whether it's using Fulfill Engine or setting up a Shopify store, or becoming an expert at PVC applied hats or something like that, like your business can start to pivot. And if I think of Campus Inc. and in the last 10 years, we've had like 4 or 5 huge pivotal points where we completely rebuilt the company and, went in a slightly different direction. And so you have to give yourself the ability to do that and wander a little bit. And that's what makes business fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really great stuff. And I want to add to that because there is a lot to be said about the trust that you guys have had and how that has lent a hand in the foundation of the growth for Campus Inc. You guys have built trust in people that you brought in, like investors, hiring the student athletes that you are now kind of trusting to promote their own merchandise, right? Like there is a lot of trust there. And I feel like not only is that empowering to them and to you guys, but I think that your customers kind of value and can kind of pick up on that sense that that's kind of like the foundation. And that's why people want to like have that relationship with Campus Inc. or work with Campus Inc. because of that.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to this, like if a billionaire can answer my email at 10 o'clock at night, I can answer a customer's email and I can do that. So like we have very open lines of communication. Customers can email us, text us, we answer back. We try to be human about things, even though like the company's bigger. But to your point, when you build trust and people know that you're in it for the right reasons and you're going to have their back, that's when they become, your partners. And we say at Campus Inc., we turn our customers into clients, and we turn our clients into partners. We turn our partners into friends, right? And so the closer you can, get your customers to really become your peers, that's when they'll really start to help elevate your business. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for joining the Heat Press for Profit podcast this week. That is a wrap for today's episode. Your insights, stories, strategies, everything. It sounds like it's been an incredible journey for you. We really just appreciate you popping on to share a little bit of what that looks like. And we are excited from a stall standpoint. We are excited to see what's next for you guys because it just seems like there's always something more, right? So thank you again for joining. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and share. Right? Hit that like button, share it with some people in the industry that would appreciate this. And also check out Campus Inc. Stephen, I want to give you a moment to kind of share where people can stay in touch with your story. Where can people follow you?
Yeah. So campus.inc is our website. And then nil.store is our NIL store. You can follow me on Instagram at steven.inc. And then I co-host the Printavo Print Hustlers podcast. So that's where you'll hear me talking about a lot of that stuff with my good friend Bruce. So yeah, look forward to connecting with y'all.
All right, we'll pop some links into the chat for you guys for an easy click. But until next time, stay focused, keep making it an impact, and thank you for listening.